Welcome back to the Morgan Thomas Show with Big Al and my co-host, Alan Adams, and I'm your host and producer, Morgan Thomas. We're going to jump in and go to our picks against the spread. ACC teams and top 25 teams are the only ones we pick from. Alan right now, 93 and 45. I had a better week. I actually had more wins than you this week. Or this last week, I got 84 and 54, so I'm not doing too bad. We're both over 60%. Here are our picks against the spread. If you don't know, we do only ACC games, and we do top 25 versus top 25. Some of the teams are on off week. Some of the teams are playing each other. We're going to start in the ACC. Alan, Boston College at Louisville. And again, these spreads I wrote down from Thursday night, so they might have updated just to let you know. But okay. Boston College at Louisville. Louisville's giving Boston College. I got them 6.5 right now. So what you got?
6.5. All right. Well, we have two bad ACC teams facing off. Okay, in this one, Boston College actually does a pretty good job covering the spread for me. I considered taking them with this one, but I just have a feeling. I'm not sure why I'm taking the home team Louisville to cover the 6.5. Maybe it's because I thought I had chosen Boston College, so I had you look at it. I've got Louisville here, so I'm taking them minus 6.5. I don't really know why, because I don't like Louisville. I don't like Boston College, but Boston College seems to cover. I'm going against it. It's just a feeling. Deal with it.
Boston College is a terrible defense. I mean, 438 yards per game given up. That's horrible, man. That is just garbage. But they do have a more reliable quarterback, in my opinion. Louisville doesn't really know what they're doing with their quarterback. They do have a more reliable running back, I feel like. I usually go with the team that has the better running back and quarterback. With teams that are so even, though, on offense, it's kind of hard, especially with the home team. This is a close game. I think Vegas knows what they're talking about here. Since it's a close game, I think it's going to be a close game. I'm going to say give me Boston College and the points on that one. I'm going with the next one, Virginia Tech at Miami. This is an interesting one. The two, expansion teams. Doesn't seem like they're expansion teams anymore, right? But Virginia Tech is at Miami. Let me get you the updated. It looks like it's still at minus. Miami is giving minus 13.5.
Yeah, I said it last week. I'll say it again. Betting against the Hokies seems to be doing pretty well for me. So right now I'm going to take Miami minus 13.5, plain and simple.
It's hard to pick Miami, though. I mean, they just come out of Central Michigan winning by 5, 17-12. What kind of score is that?
I know.
Virginia Tech got beat up by Duke, which we called. We knew. A lot of experts didn't call that, but we called Duke to win that game, and they won very handedly. Mm-hmm. The Hurricanes only allow 59.8 rushing yards per game right now, which is great. I think they're really good at keeping the score low too, but they had one big game, and then the rest were kind of low-scoring games, so score not really leaning on that stat too much. But I will take Miami in this case, minus the 13.5. I think Miami's going to win 3 in a row after losing the first two. A game that Clemson just played, our team that Clemson just played against, North Carolina at Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech still rebuilding and struggling a lot. UNC, as last look, is giving 10 points to Georgia Tech. What you got?
Well, it's hard for me to bet on North Carolina after the way the Tar Heels played our Tigers within a point, this past weekend. A lot of people might think they suffer kind of a hangover from a tough loss, but I'm going to say it gives them like a moral victory momentum. All right, and they take down the Jackets by 2 touchdowns, so I'm going to take North Carolina and the 10 points, minus the 10 points.
Okay, I like that. Georgia Tech has got a difficult time scoring. They only scored 2 points against Temple. I think a lot of people talked about how Mac Brown just showed trust in his team, and I agree with him. I mean, the fact that he went for it on 2, yeah, they didn't win it, and it was a heartbreaking loss at that sense, but he can go back and say, hey, I trusted you guys. I had faith in you guys. You hung with them, and we're going to keep carrying that on for the rest of the season. You may not be the number 1 team or the number 2 team, but you can be the best team on that given day. And that's what he said in the locker room, which I loved his locker room speech too. He's just a great coach. And that's why Dabo Swinney wanted to learn after him too. But I'm going to give North Carolina to win this one. Coming off a near upset, I'm giving North Carolina. I'm picking North Carolina. Georgia Tech doesn't know what they're doing right now. So I got to go with that. This one's hard for me. This next one, Pittsburgh at Duke. Duke is giving, let me look at this real quick. Looks like Duke is giving 4 points to Pittsburgh. What do you got?
Yeah, Duke's another team that likes to cover the spread when I pick them. Obviously, you were talking about last week when they played Virginia Tech. We called that one, and they ended up beating them outright pretty badly, as a matter of fact. Pittsburgh is just a really up-and-down team. You really don't know what you're going to get from them. So I'm not really sure what to do with this game, but I'm going to take Duke minus the 4. It usually
I like that we're on the same page because you have like almost a 70% win percentage. So I got to be, if I'm on this right page with you, same page with you, then I'm doing well, right? But again, Pitt has done really good at stopping the run. They're kind of like a Miami type team. They only allowed 91 yards per game. They aren't very good at putting up points themselves, though. Kenny Pickett's only got 3 passing touchdowns right now. He's dealing with a shoulder injury. He's kind of questionable for the game. Duke has a very dynamic quarterback who can pass. He's got 842 yards passing. He can run the ball. He's got 303 yards rushing, 12 total touchdowns. Duke is putting up 33.5 points per game. I think Duke's offense is going to be able to keep them alive in this game and keep them, even though I think it will be a close game. Pitt played Penn State close. But I'm going to take Duke as well, minus the 4. That's it for ACC games. Man, there's no Clemson game. It's crazy to even do that. We'll do this week. But top 25. All right, here's some big ones. We got a few. Let's see. We got, looks like 3 big top 25 games coming in this week. Not a lot of Southern top 25 games. It's like two more North top 25 games, but or the Midwest kind of. First one up on the board is number 14, Iowa, at number 19, Michigan. Okay, Michigan is giving 3.5 as of what I have.
Yeah, Michigan rebounded against a bad Rutgers team last week. They slaughtered them. I'm picking Iowa to go into Ann Arbor and pull the upset here. I'm taking Iowa plus the 3.5 here. I don't know why. I like to pull against Michigan. It didn't work last week. I actually went with Rutgers last week to cover the spread. That did not go well for me. I was really hoping they could score some points, and Michigan was going to be down and out after getting, punked by Wisconsin. Didn't work, but I'm going to take the Iowa plus 3.5.
This one's tough, too. I also picked Rutgers as well because I felt like that Rutgers could score a little bit. They kept it within that point spread last year. I felt like, okay, if they kept it within the spread last year, they should keep it within the spread this year. Well, they didn't, obviously. They laid a goose egg, right? Michigan, on the other hand, Shea Patterson had a pretty good game, and everybody's talking like, well, now this is Michigan's turning point, just like it's Florida State's turning point. I'm not on the Michigan bandwagon for sure. Iowa's ranked higher, but the underdog in this, I think due to the fact that it's a home game in the big house, right? But Iowa, you know how I told you last week I look at history? Iowa has won 5 of the last 6 meetings and is averaging 200 yards per game. They got a great run defense. They got a good quarterback, a good running back. It's a must-win game for Michigan, though. They've got to win this game to keep their conference hopes alive, and I think they fumble it. I'm going to go with Iowa to beat Michigan in the big house as well in a higher ranked underdog matchup. Again, next one, this is a big SEC matchup. I know a lot of people are going to be excited to watch. Number 7, Auburn at number 10, Florida. Auburn is giving 3 points over to Florida last time I checked. What you got there?
Look, I understand this game is in Florida, but does this point spread not feel like a trap to anybody else? I mean, Vegas knows what they're doing, but to me, -3, Auburn has looked like an excellent team. As a matter of fact, they could make an argument, to be tops in the polls with some of their wins, a couple of their wins. They beat an A&M team. Like we said, it's not, it doesn't look like to be the win it once was. But they beat a good Oregon team, neutral site at the beginning of the year. They played really well this year. I think they surprised a lot of people with how well they've played. I feel like, Florida's a fraud. We talk about Florida all the time. I think they get way too much credit. I still don't believe in them. I think this is a game Auburn should win by a lot more, but Vegas knows what they're doing. You said you think Vegas knows what they talk about. I can assure you Vegas knows what they're talking about for most games, on average. So, they can be off on individual games every now and then, but they know something. And I feel like I shouldn't pick Auburn -3, but I have no choice. I mean, from what I've seen on the field, for sure, there's no reason to pick Florida in this game. Auburn should win this game by 20 points, really. But I'm going to have to take Auburn -3.
All right. Well, this is one we kind of differ on a little bit. Auburn's already beaten. They got a pretty good resume. They've beaten Oregon. They've beaten Texas A&M. They've beaten Mississippi State. Mississippi State was the first game you kind of started to see Bo Nix pass the ball more. We noticed in the Oregon game that they took the ball away from Bo Nix and said, hey, don't lose us the game. Just give the ball off to the running back. They do a lot of jet sweeps. We saw them play against Texas A&M. Hey, going into College Station and beating Texas A&M like they did, that's pretty good. You can't discredit that for sure. All they did was the jet sweep, though. It was like 15 jet sweeps, and they got 200 yards off that. It was crazy to me to see that game. It was a very boring game. Again, a Texas A&M game I hate watching. But Whitlow is having a great year. They're running back. Again, Auburn is a jet sweep team. Get this, Al. The problem is that Florida can shut down the run game. They have a really good run defense. Florida has 24 sacks on the year, so they can get to the backfield. Can Bo Nix win a game for Auburn? I think if you look back at what he did against Oregon and them basically taking the ball away from him, and you look at Texas A&M and then basically only doing jet sweeps all the time, and you matching up against a good run defense, and you're matching up against a team that can get into the backfield, a lot better than Oregon can. You got a Florida team, much like Florida State, doing a little bit almost better with their backup. Can Bo Nix win it for them? I say no. Give me Florida plus the 3 at home. So I'm going to take that as a big upset there in the SEC. Number 25. This is the last one of our top 25 versus top 25. Number 25, Michigan State at number 4, Ohio State. As we look at it, Ohio State is the favorite and is giving 19.5 to Michigan State right now at the final spread. What you got there?
Well, Ohio State's played a weak schedule so far, as have several of the top teams, undefeated teams, but they've dominated the competition, as they should. It's like you talked about. Kirk Herbstreit, I think, said they should be number 1. There's an argument for it. I don't necessarily disagree with them, but I think you can make, better arguments for other team, even though they may be playing that way down the stretch. I don't know. They're killing their competition. I don't believe in this Michigan State team. I'm taking Ohio State minus 19.5.
Okay, yeah. Nebraska was definitely not a test for Ohio State. Everyone thought they would be. Michigan State has a great defense. Ohio State has a great defense. So you got 2 really good defenses there. But again, Ohio State really hasn't been tested. I mean, I think Clemson has just as good of a record or a record against opponents that Ohio State does. Now, I will say that Ohio State's not winning games by 1 point, and that's what everybody will say is that, Ohio State's blowing everybody out. The big thing for me is Ohio State leans on their running back, J.K. Dobbins. He's got 654 yards with 5 touchdowns so far. And check this out. Hey, Justin Fields, he's kind of a rookie, right? No interceptions so far. So, I like that about him. He's very consistent so far, not put his team in jeopardy by any turnovers. Michigan State's Brian Lewerke, I want to say. I'm not saying it right, but he's quietly, look at his pass yards. 1,325 passing yards with 10 touchdowns from Michigan State. I wouldn't really expect that from Michigan State. It was kind of a head scratcher there. But to me, when you really look at it, Michigan State came out of a game last week. They didn't score a lot of points. And then you look at Ohio State just blowing everybody out. I don't think that you can discount Ohio State right now. I'm going with Ohio State. I think that, really their biggest competition may only be Wisconsin, maybe. This one I added in here. It's not a top 25 game, but it could have been. I want to give honorable mention to our Pac-12 buddies over there. The Pac-12 at night. California versus, California versus Oregon, at Oregon. It would have been a top 25 matchup, but California lost Chase Garbers. We wish him well. We hope that he recovers from his injury. I think he's going to be out for the season. I watched him play against Arizona State, and California was on a roll. It was a big battle. I felt like they were going to eventually pull it out, and then they had to go with their backup transfer, Devin Modster, and he really struggled. So this is a non-top 25 matchup, but give me Oregon to beat California because they're going with this backup quarterback. What you got on that one?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm the same way. I liked Oregon from the beginning of the year. As a matter of fact, if you go back and look at our playoff predictions, I do have Oregon. I think I had them losing to Auburn, but still getting in the playoff at the end of the year if they win out. Now, it's going to be interesting with so many teams, going undefeated right now or on the path to be undefeated. I get it. It never turns out that way. I understand that, and I hope it doesn't, obviously. But I think they're going to be there. I think Oregon's a really good team. They have a great quarterback in Justin Herbert. So I think that's definitely a winnable game for them for sure.
That's it for the show this week. We hope you enjoyed watching and listening to us. Please check us out on Facebook, YouTube, and The Roar. This is the Morgan Thomas Show with Big Al. It's our bedtime. We're out of here. We hope you have a great weekend. And as always, Tiger fans, we'll see you at the top of the hill.